There are few successful League of Legends players like Eain APA Stearns, a player that has been through every tier of competitive League of Legends North America has to offer. From the deeps of North American solo queue, through collegiate, academy, and eventually the LCS, where the Ohio native showed that a homegrown talent could compete in NA's most prestigious league. But throughout his career, one thing has followed him seemingly endlessly, no matter how well he does, what team he's on, or what champions he plays and succeeds on. He's a one-trick. If you're unfamiliar with the old-timey phrase one-trick pony, it used to refer to people that only specialize in one specific skill or task, often negatively, allegedly a reference to old American circus ponies whose performance skill sets were shallower than their more experienced counterparts. In League of Legends, a one-trick is a player that specializes in a single champion, often to the detriment of their play skill when playing anything other than their one pick. In solo queue, challenger one-tricks are some of the most talented players you'll see on a server, doing things that only they and other specialists can do on their champion of choice. I've even heard stories of pro players studying them when looking to learn a specific champion for their own stage games. In the LCS though, because of things like coaches, draft preparation, and your opponents having eyeballs, you can't get away with only playing a small handful of champions at the top level, because you eating a Teemo ban every game to give the other team a free win is an easy value proposition for any competitive sports team. How then can a player seemingly so locked in on a small subset of champions be so successful? How can they exist in the LCS, let alone win a championship? It's about time we investigate just how the league's most notorious Ziggs picker is more than just a one Ziggs pony, and answer the question once and for all. Is Cloud9 APA a one-trick? In order to first understand why everyone likes to accuse APA of only being good on Ziggs, we first need to look at just how good he is on his signature champion. And let me tell you, APA is a generational Ziggs player. When APA joined Team Liquid in the middle of the 2023 summer split in week 4 of the regular season to try and salvage a struggling roster, it was his two tower-raising champions that won the week, Tristana against Immortals and Ziggs against 100T's Quid, better known now as Team Liquid's current mid laner. Despite beginning the season on TL's challenger team, APA and his unique champion pool would not only help turn around the fortunes of the team, but qualify Team Liquid for Worlds that year. Of all the LCS players in history to ever pick up Ziggs, if you only include players with 10 games or more on the champion, a pretty reasonable cutoff to get a clear idea of someone's actual performance on a pick versus just a one-off, APA has the highest win rate in the LCS on the Bombardier, with a staggering 72%. In fact, using the same dataset, APA is actually the only player in LCS history to post a positive win rate on the champion at all. That's right, the rest of the LCS is slightly more likely to lose on average with Ziggs in any role, whereas APA is overwhelmingly favored to win whenever he gets the pick. If you take the same win rate and apply it to every league in the world in primary level tournaments, which is basically just a way of saying world's qualifying regions, APA is the 6th best Ziggs in world history, behind players like Viper and Paze, who have significantly less games on the champion, and old school mid laners Dade and Xpeke of all people, who have also played way less games than APA. In fact, APA is one of only 2 players in this top 6 to have more than 20 games on Ziggs, with the next closest being Paze with 11. Notably, Paze and Viper are also bot laners, not mid laners, so APA is among the best mids in the world on Ziggs. The only player gapping everyone is international star and LJL legend Seros, who farmed his league for years and years, clocking an absurd 33-8 game score on Ziggs for a cool 80+% win rate. Among the Ziggs picking mid laners though, APA is the only one not retired, so he's got some time to pump those numbers up. In fact, I don't think it's unreasonable at all to say of the game's active mid laners, at least by win rate, APA is the best Ziggs in the world. In the LCS especially, APA accounts for a staggering amount of the Ziggs games played, particularly for mid, having almost more games combined than all others in the role. See if you can't guess who is in 2nd place for mid lane Ziggs games in the LCS. I'll give you a second for you to type your answers in the comments below. If you said Shifter, you're either a dinosaur, a cheater who googled it, or the LCS stats guy, but that's how far you have to go back to find a mid laner that plays Ziggs even close to as much as Cloud9's current Demolitionist. All this to say that APA is really good on this champion, but that isn't doing much to dispel the rumors of him being a one-trick. If anything, the numbers are arguably supporting the allegations, so we have to go deeper. So the question becomes, does APA being good on Ziggs mean he's not good on other champions? Is it simply a case of banning away the pocket yodel and cruising to an easy W? We can start by looking at the number of unique champions APA plays. After all, if we're investigating a suspected one trick, then surely he doesn't play that many other picks, right? Here's APA's unique champions by split since he joined the LCS. And here's the average for the LCS over that same time period. If it wasn't obvious just looking at the numbers next to each other, APA is about where we'd expect for an LCS mid laner. Not hugely diverse, but not super narrow either. He plays about as many mid laners as you need to in the league, split over split. You might notice though that this doesn't include any of the splits since the introduction of Fearless Draft, an innovation that forced more unique champions to be played across every role, with any champion picked in a series being banned for subsequent games of that same match. Surely, this is the change that would lead our Ziggs enjoyer to certain doom. Nope, it's once again about the same. In fact, average unique champions haven't increased all that much, at least in mid lane, despite the introduction of Fearless requiring players to show off more picks than they may have needed to in prior splits. If anything, APA actually got a boost in Fearless Draft with the first split of the new drafting style actually being APA's most diverse split ever in terms of unique picks, outpacing the league average significantly. Unique champions picked doesn't really show us anything in terms of trends because APA's most successful year in 2024, including the spring split where a lower bracket team Liquid rampaged through the league en route to their first trophy in years, featured almost a career low for APA in terms of unique champions. But it was even worse in split 3 of 2025 where the team was performing poorly, so it doesn't seem like his effective champion pool is the reason for performance, whether it's a pond or an ocean. So what then? What is it about APA? If he isn't a one trick, perhaps the best way to learn about the kind of player APA is to look at the champions he plays that aren't Ziggs. Like many others, APA's story began in solo queue where he was better known by the moniker Always Plan Ahead. In solo queue he was a one trick actually, an Aurelion Soul player, with his in-game name a nod towards the roam heavy playstyle that is required to succeed on a champion as esoteric as the Cosmic Space Dragon, who basically needs to visit side lanes and find effective pressure in order to do anything. In LCS he hasn't played his old main all that much, only 6 games total, but he is undefeated on the pick. Kind of hilarious in the context of a player that seemingly only picks champions he specializes on when they're so good for the situation he can maximize their value. But to me that's kind of just the story of APA as a player. He's not a one trick, but he's very clearly proficient on champions that are more about affecting the map versus dominating lane. Taking a cursory glance at his champion pool, he only has a handful of games on champions like Jace and Ahri. Champs I would consider to be more about their lane pressure than their roaming ability, and his win rate isn't great on those comparatively. He does have a horde of games on Corki and Tristana from the days of that metagame, and he did well on those picks, as well as having a random win on Lucian of all champions, who is very lane oriented. So it's not that he can't be aggressive, it's just that he seems like he's better when he's able to translate his lane to help out his teammates. And if we look at the bulk of the champions he's played and succeeded on, a pattern emerges. Ziggs and Taliyah make up the bulk of his career picks, 2 champions that are excellent push on roamers who have globals that can affect the map quickly. Even recently this year on Cloud9, APA has played a lot of Annie and Twisted Fate this season, 2 champions that are much better when they're involved in the team-up phase of the game, and the latter of which has maybe the game's most potent global when utilized correctly. In fact, more than just the global impact, which he clearly excels at using, might be his teamfight impact as a mid laner, because no one seems to favor champions that are as good in big scraps more than APA. This stands out when you look at how many Neeko players in particular there are in the LCS solo lanes. The numbers get kind of hilarious, especially for a mid pick. APA is the load-bearing pillar for farming Neekos everywhere. I mean, he just loves this champion. APA is the only solo laner in the LCS in either mid or top to have double-digit games on the pick, and while Pop Blossom might take a bit more setup than Mega Inferno Bomb, you can kind of see the similarities. So how then do we answer the question posed at the beginning of the video, knowing what we know now? Is APA a one-trick? Definitively, I think we can say no, but he may well be a different kind of specialist, except I'm not even sure that's true. He has wins on some carries, he has wins on Mid-Scion and Mid-Nasus, and even though he clearly loves a good global, that's not the only thing he can do, even if he's very good at that playstyle. I think APA's real strength as a player comes from how hard he works to learn the game with as much depth as he has. To not only grind the standard matchups and control mages like Azir and Orianna, but to really plumb the depths in draft to find that perfect pick so you can use it at the right moment. I don't think it's an accident that his Ziggs winner is as high as it is, because he understands all the conditions needed to make it succeed, and that applies across the plethora of champions he's played in his career so far. Don't get it twisted, APA is not a one-trick. But his Ziggs is absurdly good. Seriously, if you exclude APA from the LCS mid Ziggs stats, the champion's win rate plummets. He is the sole reason the pick's overall win rate is anywhere close to 50% for his position. I think when you peel back APA and the champions he plays, what's left is a player that's still growing, now on a new team, making a run at yet another finals weekend. APA will happily eat the ban if you want to respect his Ziggs, but he'll also take it for a spin if you let him. Either way, the odds are stacked against you. Just don't call him a one trick, especially in all chat, because there's always a champion, whether you expect it or not, that APA can find to beat you with.